आप ही ने तो मुझे पहली बार कांग्रेस का राष्ट्रपति बनाया था, जबकि मैं देश निकाले पे था। आज जबकि मैं खुद जीता हूं, आप मुझे नहीं चाहते कि विश्व युद्ध का फायदा उठाकर अगर हमने अंग्रेजों को बाहर नहीं धकेला तो ऐसा मौका फिर नहीं आएगा। फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर में भी तो हमने उनकी मदद की थी, बदले में हमें क्या मिला बापू? रॉलेट एक्ट, जलियांवाला बाग। इस बार भी अगर हम चूक गए बापू तो शिकंजा इस कदर कस जाएगा कि हम सदियों तक गुलाम रहेंगे।
For many of us, independence just could be a word. For many of us, it is just a right. And many of us doesn't even realize what is the meaning of independence. But there was a time when we are really struggling to live in a free country, and we were really struggling against the foreign powers, those imperial powers, to live a free life. And yes, we definitely couldn't forget those great leaders who have helped us to get freedom from the slavery of the British. I thought this could be a wonderful opportunity to pay tribute to the greatest leader of all time, our beloved Netaji. On this special eve of the 5th birth anniversary of Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose, I thought to bring some unknown facts to you, which many of you have known, but still we have never thought it so deeply. Have you ever thought that the independence, which could be very common for us these days, when we think it is just a matter of word or it is just a right which everybody is having, but there was a time when this was not so easy for somebody to get. And that is why we are talking about complete independence. But are we still independent? Are we still aware about our rights? We are still living in oblivious. We don't even know that what exactly our great leaders, our great freedom fighters have done to bring this independence. We are still not aware of their sacrifices, and even if we know how much we are really paying importance to their sacrifice. So in this video, we are going to really go through those ideas and understand once again the spirit of patriotism, that really we are really worthy for this independence or not. Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose is one of such famous nationalists who was known for his defined patriotism. He was known for his great valor and courage. He was really an unparalleled leader of all times. However, due to so many political conspiracies, he has been always kept in darkness. How many of you know Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose is the first Prime Minister and the President of Free India? Yes, you heard it right. In 1943, when in Singapore, the first Free India was declared, which constituted the Northeastern and the Andaman Nicobar, he was elected as the first successful Prime Minister and President of Free India. However, it was short-lived, but through his efforts and his heroic organizing skills, he has proved to the nation, to the entire world, that he has definitely, selflessly loved this country and wanted us to live a free India. In the 200 years of slavery, if you have ever seen the struggle against the imperial British powers, I believe there were two. The first was definitely the 1857, the Sepoy Mutiny, which however couldn't succeed because it was not so much well organized and well cooperated. But the second one was definitely during the World War II, when the great leader Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose took the unparalleled initiative to collaborate with the Nazis Germany to get rid of the British. However, it may not have been successful fully, but definitely it laid a deeper impact, and that is why we still cannot forget the Indian National Army. The first free India which has seen was under his leadership. The Azad Hind Fauj was definitely left a remarkable impact on the history of freedom movement. However, many years have passed, we still remember the 23rd January as a holiday, which is just a day when we get off from our school, college and office, and for many of us it's a day to go out to have a family day out or a picnic. But this 23rd January, how much significant it is. It is that special day, that auspicious day for every Indian, a day of pride for every Bengali, when Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose, the great leader, was born in a small town in Cuttack. His still ancestral house is in Odisha. His father, Sri Janakinath Bose, and mother, Prabhavati Dutt, who were really proud to have a son like Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose. However, Bose has been always a very much sensitive boy from the beginning. His initial days were spent in his joint family along with his brothers and sisters and his big family. He was in fact a very much studious guy, and from the beginning he was very much careful to understand the national movement. As a leader, he has always been a source of inspiration, whether it was the first assembly which he made among the small life against the teachers during the Khudiram's hang punishment. He was the first guy at the small age of 13 years. He revolted. But however, slowly when he was admitted in the Ravenshaw Collegiate School, he was also very much inspired by the greatest leader and also by Swami Vivekananda. Throughout his life, he considered Swamiji as his role model. However, later on when he came to presidency in Calcutta, he was inspired by C.R. Das or Chittaranjan Das and also by Mahatma Gandhi. Later on we can see that he became the president of Congress, but due to some differences with the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, he has to come out. He has to really move out on his own wing of getting independence for India. However, we have seen that there were a lot of arguments about his opinion. Some believe that non-violence is the best way. But do you think that it was a time when the Britishers were really not ready to understand that what is the price of non-violence, and they are not even giving respect to that? For somebody who is really deaf to non-violence and not giving answer, but finally it was really important to show the Britishers the power of Indians, and that is how he actually escaped finally through the routes of Afghanistan and went through a lot of struggle, first through Russia and then through Italy, and finally he went to Germany. However, there are a lot of differences in opinion. People used to think that maybe he is just a small leader, or basically he made an effort which is not successful. But for many of us, he is more than a political or a freedom leader, because for us, he is a God who has definitely shown us the way that how we should live a life. He has been a real leader, a real monk who has shown that how the life should have been lived. So here in this video, my friends, I would basically explaining that what exactly are the leadership principles we can learn from this great leader. The first thing which I would like to tell you, that Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose has taught through us throughout his life that he was a wonderful leader who could identify the trend and opportunity, which is very important for a leader. During the World War II, when the things were really going very much difficult for the Indians to get their freedom, and however he was being captured for the different movements against the Britishers, but when he was being ousted from the Congress, he thought this is the time when he can utilize this, and he thought of collaborating with the Nazi Germany, and finally with the help of Adolf Hitler, he thought of forming a separate Free India movement which was outside India. And that was a wonderful example that how you can utilize the opportunity during the difficult times. And secondly, we should always know the sacrifices which always a leader makes, because if you have to be a great leader, you have to be selfless. He has sacrificed his good life which he could have easily lived. He was a brilliant student. He was already highly educated in England. He got the civil service exam, but at the peak of his success, he gave up the civil service and he came back and joined the freedom movement. In one of the letters to his elder brother, he wrote to Swaraj Bose that, "Dear brother, I cannot have two masters in my life. Either I serve for the imperial power or I serve my motherland," because he believed that the edifice of independence can be built on the land of sacrifice. Ideas can die with a person, but those ideas after the death of that person can incarnate through 1,000 lives That was one of his important slogans. And it is true, his ideas really has incarnated through the 1,000 lives of all Indians who really believe in the ideology of Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose. Indian National Army, which basically was inspired and highly motivated to get the victory, and that is how his famous slogan Jai Hind was going through each and every people across the world and across the nation. Every Indian was boiling for getting the freedom. The blood of every Indian was ready to be shed through his famous slogan, if you give me blood, I will give you the freedom. But still, many of us might differ. We might still think that that was just a stunt, or it was just a kind of an effort which was not successful. But he has shown us that how to live in equality, and that is why in Indian National Army or Azad Hind Fauj we can see that the women are also given the equal opportunity, and that is one of the important quality of a good leader, where he has shown that how we can give equal opportunity. And that is the reason when he formed the first movement of the army in Berlin, in Germany, he has given equal opportunity to the people who were actually the prisoners of war, who were captured in Africa, and those warriors were given equal opportunity. In his kitchen in Azad Hind Fauj, he was having a free kitchen for all, which said that everybody is same and equal. Not only that, he also have taken some critical decisions at the time of difficulty, when he came to understand that they have to surrender after the defeat of the Japanese in the Second World War. He thought to disband his army so that his soldiers will not be captured by the Britishers. So this was definitely a critical decision. And at the time of difficulty, he was always very calm and composed. So that makes him one of the greatest leaders. And not only that, we however know that he was always known for his great leadership, but also he was very soft-hearted and he was always very much lovable person. He was belovedly called Netaji by his team members. He was very good equally for art, culture and literature. Not only that, he was the first person who has made the first national anthem, but however that national anthem for some political reason has not been adopted as a national song. But anyway, we still believe Netaji may not be here today, but his ideology, his motivation lives in all Indians, and it will live throughout as the sun, moon and the universe goes on. We believe in his ideology, and we believe as long as the world will exist, we believe in Netaji, and Netaji will live in us. However, unfortunately, we still do not know that what was the end of the great leaders. However, as per Wiki and as per many other important historical information, it is said that Netaji died in an unfortunate air crash in Taihoku, which is basically not believed by many of us, and for many of us, he is still alive. But we should understand, we are not really buying the story that Netaji is not living. Netaji still lives, and he is always going to be remaining in our heart. So we should understand that he is always living in our hearts. He is always living mortal. So we have to understand that the great lessons of leadership which we have got from the great leader, we should not forget. And if I talk about the next part of Netaji, then it would be a long video. We will speak about that video sometime later, about the next part of his life, which is about Gumnami Baba. But however, we should understand, I am strictly against the fact of the name Gumnami or a misnomer. We should understand, we otherwise call him as Bhagwanji, who let his rest of his life in incognito, who is not known by many, who left this world without telling anyone anything, and he was always living in exile. But we will come for this interesting video in the next episode of this wonderful fact about the great leader of our country. But definitely we should try to celebrate this celebration of the birthday of our great hero, our beloved Netaji, with the spirit of leadership and the spirit of patriotism. Thank you, friends. And I'm really thankful to those who have watched this video. Let's hope that we all celebrate this 23rd January as the wonderful day to remember the great leader Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose. Jai Hind.